Hey all, we're about to start a competency evaluation. Hello, here, let me hear you. I gotta take this off to hear you better. Hello, can you hear me?
You're loud and clear. Can you hear me?
Yeah, about as good as I'm going to. Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Okay, very good. I am Dr. Bradley. Do you know what kind of doctor I am?
You're a doctor of forensic psychology, I believe.
You are absolutely right. And why am I seeing you today?
A lawyer who I've never met has requested a competency evaluation. I did one with Dr. Wayne, I believe, and I was found competent, and then he asked for a second one. By law, I have to do this.
Okay,
I would like to state that when he asked that, I stated no repeatedly, and I stated no means no. And I also stated that I believed it was a pedophile grooming technique, felony endangerment, and a hate crime. And that I stated I did not consent to any of the competency evaluations. And the judge stated that I had to do them by court order.
okay. You mentioned several things that I didn't quite understand there. You said something about an animal something, or can you repeat what you said to me?
I informed the judge that I repeatedly stated no means no. And I said no to the lawyer requesting a competency evaluation. He had no association to the psychological field or any mental health field. And I also informed the judge that I believe the competency evaluation is a pedophile grooming technique, felony endangerment, and a hate crime. And I do not consent, and I state that I'm under threats, duress, coercion, and fear for my life, liberty, well-being, and pursuit of happiness. And also that I have no choice, so that I must partake in this competency evaluation due to a court order. So I will answer all questions truthfully, to the best of my ability, honestly, and competently.
And can you tell me what you meant by a pedophile grooming technique? Are you saying that the evaluation is in some way a pedophile grooming technique?
I will let the law decide that. That's just my interpretation.
Can you say more about your interpretation, since you're not a child and I'm not a child, and I'm not sure what this has to do with, being a pedophile?
It is what I told the judge.
Okay. And I'm just trying to understand the meaning of what you told the judge.
Yeah, well, I guess that's for the law to interpret. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. Tell me what the meaning of competency is.
To the best of my knowledge, the meaning of competency means that I am competent to stand trial, to proceed with trial. I have to understand the charges against me, how to facilitate my defense, and I also have to understand the workings and mechanisms of the trial itself, basically who the judge is, what the judge does, who the DA, what the DA does, myself as a defendant, the jury, the bailiff, the evidence, and the assistance of counsel.
Tell me about the assistance of counsel. All the first ones had to do with understanding. You're right about that. Do you mean that it has to do with your ability to consult with a lawyer and assist in your defense?
Yes, I have to be able to understand what my lawyer is telling me, and what basically that's it, you know. From there, it's his job to interpret the evidence and to produce a adequate and effective assistance of counsel for my defense.
Okay. Let me tell you some other things about this interview, and when I'm through, I'll want you to repeat or summarize them, please. You're right, this is court ordered, and so I will write a report that will go to the judge and your attorney and the prosecuting attorney. So what you say is not secret or confidential. However, nothing that you say to me can be used against you regarding whether you're guilty of any crimes. This just has to do with competency. The judge will make the final decision about competency, not me. Though I might be asked to come to court to talk about this evaluation. And even though I'm a doctor, I'm not here to help you with problems that you might have. What are the things that I just said to you?
Basically, that this is not confidential. You're going to write a report. It's going to be given to the DA and the judge. And whether or not you find me competent, it's ultimately up to the judge to order whether or not I'm competent, which I have been informed priorly that if you do find me incompetent, by law, the judge has to find me incompetent.
Yeah, I'm not a lawyer, but I think the latter is not true. That is, I can render an opinion, but the judge will render a decision. And the judge's decision may or may not go along with whatever my opinion is. You've had previous competency exams. You talked about one in this case. And how about in the past? Total, how many competency evaluations have you had? Would you say?
Let's see. I had one ordered by a lawyer named Tony Link. I had one while incarcerated, ordered by a mental health person named Lynette Smith at Buena Vista Correctional Facility. And I had one ordered by a federal judge, or a magistrate, federal magistrate.
Okay.
And I also had one prior to you, roughly a month ago.
Okay. Do you think that you have any mental disabilities?
No, I think I am completely competent to stand trial.
Okay. I'm writing down things that you say. Obviously, my writing is not as fast as your speech, which is fine, but you don't need to slow down. If the judge would decide that you are competent, what would happen in your case? What happens?
Then I would be allowed to fire my lawyer, which I've been repeatedly trying to do. And eventually, I believe I would be given a new lawyer. And ultimately, we would go to a preliminary hearing. We are still waiting for a preliminary hearing by law.
Okay. And if the judge would decide that you're not competent, what would happen?
To the best of my knowledge, I would be sent to CMHIP until I regain competency. And CMHIP is the Colorado Health Mental Institute of Pueblo. I'm not sure if that's still the law, but I hear that's a possibility.
Okay. Let me ask you a typical doctor question, and that is, what problems, if any, do you see yourself having at this time in your life?
I'm currently suffering from a physical disability. I was attacked and my wrist was slit. I woke up in the hospital and all my arteries, tendons, and nerves were severed. My hand was almost amputated. And yeah, that has completely affected my life. I'm left-handed. My left hand was injured. So I'm still able to do computer jobs. I'm a recent graduate of cybersecurity school. That was actually a year ago. And I'm still looking for work. Could you repeat the question again?
Of course. It simply is, what problems, if any, do you see yourself having at this time in your life?
Financial problems due to the fact that I do not have gainful employment, and physical disability. I'm also dealing with legal problems, which is why we're having this competency evaluation.
Okay. And the physical disability has to do with your wrist being, your left wrist being lacerated, is that correct? That's what you mean by physical disability?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And to what extent, to what extent does that affect movement of your hand, fingers? I see your left hand up there.
Yeah, completely. I'm left-handed, so I can no longer go like that. I mean,
Yes.
honestly, the doctors say that I will never get full motion again. I've recently filed for physical disability. The doctors told me to. I filled out the Med-9 paperwork and all the Social Security Administration paperwork, and I'm waiting for their determination board to make a determination.
Okay.
And so I'm left-handed, so I had to relearn how to do everything with my right hand, from brushing my teeth to going to the bathroom, to even writing. I do all my typing with my right hand. And you know, it has really interfered with my life. I have to do hand exercises, which I was in the middle of. I think you saw me do this. I was actually at the end of my hand exercises. They take roughly an hour, and I have to do them 5 times a day. So it's 5 hours out of my day that I have to do physical therapy at home. I went through 6 months of physical therapy.
When was the attack? When did the attack occur in this home?
2020, June 21st, Sunday.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry that happened to you.
So am I.
Your current living situation is what? Do you live alone? Do you live with anyone else?
I live alone.
And do you live in an apartment, a house, or?
I live in an apartment. 1 bedroom.
Okay. And would it be accurate to say that, of course, and I understand the problem with your left hand, but that you do all of the most basic things in life? That is, you feed yourself, you go to the bathroom yourself, you dress yourself.
Yes, that is correct. I support myself all on my own. I go shopping on my own. I bathe myself on my own. I dress myself on my own. I do my food, meal preparation, and cook on my own. I take out my own trash. I vacuum my own floor, make my own bed, do my own laundry, fold my own clothes.
Okay, very good. And do you have a driver's license?
No, I do not.
What do you do for transportation?
I have a bicycle, and I also use public transportation.
Very good. So it sounds like you don't have any functional disabilities. You function normally, basically.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, there's some limitations with your left hand, I get that. Do you have any other medical problems?
I'm hypoglycemic, but I watch my diet. I do what I can not to eat sweets, and eat fruits, vegetables, and I also do eat meat on occasion. Yeah, I try to be vegan, vegetarian. You know, as disability, my hand is really messed up.
Okay.
And it causes a lot of pain.
Okay. No other current medical problems, though?
No, sir. I wake up in the morning and I go jogging if it's not below 0 freezing cold like it has been recently. I went and jogged this morning before the evaluation. Before I got injured or currently?
Currently, please.
Currently, I do what I can to still stay involved in activism. I attend community activisms. I help feed the homeless. Um, not as much as I used to, considering I have to do hand exercises. Um, I look for work online a lot, constantly. I do a lot of online applications through LinkedIn, and I'm working on some computer projects. Also, yeah, just trying to get my life back in order. I do the physical therapy hand exercises. I go outside when I can, so that way I'm not cooped up. Constantly looking for jobs.
Okay. Do you have any history of head injury or brain damage?
No.
No problems with vision, hearing, any sensory function?
I wear eyeglasses.
Right. Okay.
When I was younger, I had asthma. I grew out of it. Um, Even right now, I just recently turned 40 years old, and I could probably physically maintain, at least running, that's someone half my age. I haven't done push-ups since my injury, so it's been roughly 8 months. And yeah, or sit-ups. I was thinking about getting back into sit-ups. I have to wait at least another 4 months before I can get back at push-ups.
Okay. Just looking back at Dr. Walker's report, I was thinking that he said that you told him that you had 2 unconfirmed head injuries, and that you received medical attention for.
Well, when I woke up in the hospital, I guess that counts as one. I mean,
Which time after your wrist
yeah,
injury?
I also suffered a concussion and 4 broken ribs, bruises, scrapes all over.
Okay. Have doctors ever told you you have brain damage?
Not officially. When I was in the hospital, they said that with the concussion and all, that I got to take it easy. So, yeah, I've gotten into physical altercations before. I've been in accidents before. So I really don't know what you mean, like how severe is a head injury or something like that. I think Dr. Walker, I think I mispronounced her name, Dr. Wang, earlier.
Yeah, it's Trang.
Train, yeah. Yeah,
I get it.
I think she asked specifically about certain things, especially when it came to the injury. And so, yeah, I did suffer a concussion there, and I've had a couple of them prior, I believe. I fell on the ice before. There's been times when I'm hypoglycemic and I didn't have enough food, so I passed out and I hit my head.
At the present time, you said you wear glasses, but do you have any other significant impairments in any sensory function? Smelling, tasting, hearing, touch, anything like that?
No, I really don't have much of a sensation in my left hand. It will take at least 1.5 years for the nerves to properly regrow, and my left hand's in constant pain. I can see and hear pretty well. I can smell pretty well.
No other deficits other than on your left hand. In motor functioning, moving your body, anything like that?
Nope.
I'm not noticing any impairments
Yes, that is correct.
Attention and concentration are all fine as well?
Not as good as they used to be since the injury. I did lose a lot of blood, and I think a lot of that could be because the constant pain takes my concentration away.
Okay. Any significant impairment in memory or any other thinking, cognitive abilities?
Not really. You know, I do what I can to maintain good mental health. I believe that going outside, enjoying the sunlight, just like today, I went and I picked up trash out of the river, which I try to do every day, even if it's frozen outside. If there's trash there by the Confluence River, I go there and I pick it up. And, yeah.
As a result of any of the head injuries, no significant changes in personality or emotions?
None.
Okay.
Well, I guess my personality I'm real like annoyed. I guess I believe that the cops aren't really pursuing the criminal activity that caused the injury.
Okay. All right. Are you taking any medications now?
None. Well, I use diflucanac sodium gel, also known as Voltaren gel, and I rub it on my wrist. I was taking CBD gummies for the pain. I ran out of those. I was taking a CBD tincture, ran out of that. And I have some CBD cream left that I rub on my injury in my hand for pain.
Okay. Any significant impairments in eating, significant weight changes, or in sleep? Are those all okay?
No, there's no change in those. There was at the beginning of the year, kind of my New Year's goal was to quit smoking marijuana and drinking alcohol. So it took roughly about a week or two for me to get back into a sleep cycle because I used to smoke weed and then go to bed. So about at the very least at the end of January, everything went back to normal when I quit smoking marijuana and drinking alcohol.
Okay. You've never been married and have no children, is that correct?
That is correct.
How's your relationship with your parents?
Non-existent.
Okay. And how many brothers and sisters do you have, and what's your relationship like with them?
I believe there's an older brother named Steven and a younger sister named Summer, and the relationship is non-existent.
Do you have friends?
Ish.
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
I associate with people, but I don't have anyone you would call a close friend or a confidant.
Okay. Educationally, did you graduate from high school?
No, I went to all 4 years. I was a couple credits shy, and I just got a GED. I've been to college twice, and I'm a recent graduate of a cybersecurity school.
So you got your GED when?
2000, 2001.
Okay. And what would you estimate how much college, you said you went to college twice, how much college you completed as in terms of semesters or credits, or what would you say?
I'm a year and a half shy of getting a BFA in fine arts and a teaching certificate.
Okay.
So I guess 2.5 years.
Got it. And your college grade point average grades have been what would you say?
A's and B's.
Okay. The cybersecurity school, when did you graduate from that?
2019, December 20th, Friday.
Okay. And how long did you go to that school, and what were your grades like there?
It was a 12-week high-intensive course, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, plus 4 hours of homework, and I excelled. I was the top of my class.
Very good. What's the name of the school? Or
Secure Set Cyber Academy.
Secure Cyber Academy?
Secure Set. SECURESET. Secure Set.
You indicated, of course, that you're looking for work now. Where and when did you last work?
March 2020, I was a scooter charger for Bird Scooter and Lime Scooter.
How long did you work there?
2 years. That's the job I had while going through cybersecurity school. So that's how I paid my rent, my bills, and fed myself.
Sure. And how did you decide to stop?
The COVID.
What other kinds of work have you done?
I've done service industry. I've done construction. I've done linen work. I worked in a laundry plant. I've done all sorts of odd and end gigs work.
All sorts of what? I'm sorry.
Gig work.
And I'm not sure what you mean by gig work.
Just a gig, day labor.
You've worked most of your adult life.
Yes, that is correct.
Speaking of which, let's see, you're how old?
40. 40 years, 2 months, well, 1 month, 22 days.
Okay. The longest job that you worked lasted how long?
About 2.5 years.
You talked about using, smoking marijuana and using alcohol in the past. Did I understand you correctly that you're not using any of those substances or drugs now?
That is correct.
And no others like cocaine, meth, or anything else?
I've done those when I was younger.
Right. So, when did you start using drugs?
When I was 14.
And in your life, what drugs have been problems, would you say?
I wouldn't say I really had a problem with drugs.
Okay.
It's more of the people that do drugs that I'm around that cause problems, so I have to separate myself from those people and or those drugs to separate myself from those people.
But the drugs that you have used obviously are cannabis, marijuana, alcohol. What else?
I've done methamphetamine, cocaine, mushrooms, LSD.
Okay. Have you ever had substance abuse treatment?
Yes. When I was in prison, it's mandatory that everyone has to do ARP, Addiction Recovery Program.
Other than that, have you had any other drug or alcohol treatment other than what's in prison?
When I got out of prison, I had to. When I got out of prison, the same class was mandatory. So again, you had to take Addiction Recovery Program.
While you were on parole?
Yes, that is correct.
Right. Are you currently receiving any mental health treatment?
No, I was talking to a PhD psychologist about pain, and I believe 2 weeks ago, our last appointment, we decided that, I'm doing fine, and that if I needed any help, just to give her a call.
Okay. And do you have any history of inpatient psychiatric conditions?
I was once sent to see it, well, twice, sent to CMHIP. The first time was for a competency evaluation, my very first one. And the second time was at the order of Gwinnett Smith from the Buena Vista Correctional Facility. The second one lasted a week. The first time I was there was for 30 days, which I guess was the minimum by law. And then the second time they had some full board review that they said they could just boot me out after a week. And so they did. And I got sent back to prison.
Okay, and why were you sent there that second time for a week?
I got in an argument with the mental health coordinator.
Okay. Any other inpatient psychiatric conditions?
No?
Okay. Do you have a history of any psychotic symptoms, hallucinations, delusions, anything like that?
No?
Times where your speech or behavior have been disorganized? Anything that, not counting anything that was caused by drugs?
No, I was about to ask that. Does drinking alcohol count for the speech? No.
Okay. You've been arrested about how many times? How many times have you been arrested?
A couple of times as a kid for underage consumption. And then my 2 felonies. I got arrested for those, and I got arrested for a curfew violation, which led to discharge because they dropped the curfew violation and stacked the second-degree assault on a peace officer.
Okay. And you said you were in prison. You talked about this time. And you've had lawyers and court appearances in the past, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
And have you ever had a trial?
Yes.
And what was the result of that trial?
I was found guilty.
And have you also pled guilty in plea bargaining?
When I was younger, yeah. I believe it was underage consumption.
Okay. So obviously you've had experience with criminal proceedings in the past.
Yes.
You were born where?
Glendora, California.
Is that where you grew up?
No.
Where were you raised?
Basically Las Vegas and Colorado, Montrose, Colorado.
And when you say Las Vegas, you mean Las Vegas, Nevada, or Las
Yes.
Vegas, New Mexico?
No, Las Vegas, Nevada, not Las Vegas, New Mexico.
Okay. Overall, what was your childhood like?
There, I mean, I wasn't wealthy, so I don't know how to state that, considering that, some kids grow up worse, some kids grow up better, and by worse or better, I mean financially worse, financially better. So yeah, considering that I didn't grow up in Pakistan, amazing.
Yeah. Did you experience trauma or abuse as a child?
I guess you could say physical abuse, but that was the 80s, and you used to be able to smack your kid or whoop him with a belt back then.
Okay. And after you ended high school, what did you do after high school?
Got a job, worked at the same place for nearly 3 years, and then I went to college.
And when did you move out of your parents' house?
When I was 19.
And lived independently since then?
Basically, yeah.
Okay. Let me ask you some specific questions that may be pretty easy for you. What is today's date without looking at it?
Well, I've already been looking at the date and the time. It's February 22nd.
What day of the week is it?
It's Monday.
The season of the year is what?
It's winter. Next month, I believe March 21st, starts spring.
You're right about that. I'm going to say three words, repeat them, and remember them. I'll ask you what they are in a little while. And the words are shoe, flower, pencil. Say it.
Shoe, flower, salt.
No, shoe, flower, pencil.
Oh, shoe, flower, pencil.
Yes. Remember those three words, shoe, flower, pencil.
Shoe, flower,
See
pencil.
what they are in a little while. Now repeat this series of numbers in the same order I say it to you. 6, 1, 9, 4, 7, 3.
6, 1, 9, 4, 7, 3.
Good. Now I'm going to say some more numbers, but when I stop, I want you to say them backward. If I were to say 7 or 9, what would you say?
9, 1, 7.
Exactly. Say these backward, please. 5, 8, 3, 6, 1.
1, 3, 8, 5.
Say these backward. 8, 2, 7, 9.
9, 7, 2, 8.
I'm going to say two words, and I want you to tell me how they're alike. In what way are a horse and a tiger alike?
A horse and a tiger are both animals.
In what way are a boat and an automobile alike?
A boat and an automobile are both forms of transportation.
In what way are a nose and a tongue alike?
A nose and a tongue are alike. They are both sensory things, and they're on the face.
In what way are food and gasoline alike?
Food and gasoline are both fuel.
In what way are a badge and a crown alike?
They are both symbols of authority. And in certain spots. In America, the crown cannot be a symbol of authority, no titles of nobility.
In what way are a bud and a baby alike?
Can you say the first word?
Yes, bud. A bud and
Oh.
a baby.
Such as a rosebud. It is the beginning of growth, such as a baby. It is, yeah.
In what way are music and tides alike?
Music and tides, they both change with the season.
In what way are a poem and a statue alike?
They are both articles of art.
In what way are an anchor and a fence alike?
An anchor and a fence are alike in a manner in which they keep something in place.
In what way are wish and expect alike?
Wish and expect are like they're both something someone can want.
In what way are acceptance and denial alike?
They are both decisions.
In what way are always and never alike?
I would say opposite, but that's not alike. They're both decisions. They're both outcomes. They're both outcomes.
In what way are an enemy and a friend alike?
They're both. They can be the same one sometimes, but an enemy and a friend are both alike. That they can be the same type of thing. They're like a human could be an enemy. A human could be a friend. They can both be the same association of organizations.
In what way are allow and restrict alike?
They are both decisions. They're both. They can both be laws.
Okay. What does the word assemble mean?
To put together.
What does consume mean?
To eat.
Terminate.
To stop.
Tranquil.
Tranquil. Like to pacify. Calm.
Ponder.
Ponder. To think.
Reluctant.
Reluctant. Hesitant.
Confide.
Confide, trust.
Tell me more.
You confide into someone, you trust them, you give them information that you don't want others to have.
Remorse.
To feel sorry, regretful, I don't think remorse has empathy, but I guess you could say empathy.
Plagiarize.
Forgery, to copy, to claim as your own.
Acute.
It's either severe or not severe. It depends on how you're using it, I think. In certain medical terms, acute could be like low level. In other ways, acute could be a high level. It depends on how they're using it, I guess.
Generate. What is generate?
To produce.
Tangible.
Physical, touchable.
Evolve.
Evolve. To become better, to adapt.
Diverse.
Diverse is multiple options different.
Fortitude.
Fortitude is like constitution, your strength in an objective.
Ominous.
Ominous is not good.
Tell me more.
An ominous cloud, something that is perceived negatively or scarily or bad.
Encumber.
Encumber, to hinder.
Audacious.
Audacious could be outrageous or gregarious.
Tirade.
Tirade, a rant, a verbose rant.
Pragmatic.
Pragmatic, to do what it takes to get it done.
Palliate.
Palliate?
Yes.
I'm not sure what that means, but I think it may mean something with taste or sense of smell or food or something like that.
Okay. What is the imaginary line that divides the Earth into northern and southern halves?
The equator.
What is water made of?
Water is made of 2 parts hydrogen and 1 part oxygen in a liquid form of hydrogen and oxygen.
Who wrote Hamlet?
Shakespeare wrote Hamlet.
On what continent is Brazil?
Brazil is on the South American continent.
Who was Cleopatra?
Cleopatra was I think, stepdaughter of a pharaoh who had a child with Julius Caesar, and then after Julius Caesar died, got on with Mark Antony, and then Augustus Caesar, Julius Caesar's adopted son, I think his real name was Octavian, went to war and won. Cleopatra was once pharaoh of Egypt.
Who was president of the United States during the Civil War?
Abraham Lincoln,
On what continent is the Sahara Desert?
the African continent.
What is the capital of Italy?
Rome is the capital of Italy.
In what country were the Olympic Games first played?
Greece,
Whose name is usually associated with the theory of relativity?
Albert Einstein,
Who was Mahatma Gandhi?
a Indian pacifist and world leader of India.
At what temperature does water boil?
Oh, I think it's 112 or 212 degrees. Or how about this? 100 degrees centigrade.
Who was Sacagawea?
Sacagawea was a guide for Lewis and Clark in their expedition west of the Mississippi, and she was on the $1 coin.
Name 3 kinds of blood vessels.
Blood vessels?
Yes.
You mean like blood cells, like red and white?
No, blood vessels. Name 3 kinds of blood vessels.
I don't know. I'm stumped by that one. Blood vessels in the human body. Yeah, I'm confused. If it's not Indic, it's Chinese. I'm going to go with Indic because I think people of India speak more Indic, and I think Chinese has Manchurian and Cantonese.
What's the largest organ of the human body?
The skin.
Who was Catherine the Great?
She was the daughter of an English monarch who got sent to Russia and was her children had that disease where they don't stop bleeding, and she was also, I think, put under a trance by Rasputin.
Say more about her.
Catherine the Great, to the best of my knowledge, was the daughter of an English monarch. She was sent to marry a Russian prince, and she had several children.
So are you
She
saying
w-
that she became a queen in Russia?
Yeah, or a Tsarina or something like that. And I believe that she was the last queen of Russia. Then the Russian Revolution happened when the Soviets took over.
Who created the character Sherlock Holmes?
I used to know that. God, is his name Lewis? I don't know.
Okay. How many minutes does it take sunlight to reach the Earth?
Oh man, a couple. I used to. I studied physics. I should know that one.
Okay. What were the three words I asked you to remember?
Shoe, pencil, and I think I got confused with salt.
Okay. Of course, we all have different emotions from time to time. We're happy, we're sad, we're mad, we're afraid. But how would you say you feel inside most of the time?
Content. I mean, I want more and better, but at the same time, I know that there's a lot worse going on out there. To tell you the truth, ever since my injury, a lot of different emotions. You know, I've been feeling a lot of physical pain nonstop since it happened. So, prior to my injury, constantly hopeful, go-getter, able to go do stuff. You know.
Okay. Do you believe that you have any special magical powers?
No.
Or believe that you can broadcast your thoughts into other people's brains, or that they can do that to you, or anything like that?
No.
Are you currently suicidal?
No.
Have you ever actually tried to kill yourself?
I've played Russian roulette. I guess I've been more, how should I say, extreme and out there than suicidal. But some people would say that is suicidal. Like some people would say jumping out of a plane with a parachute on is suicidal. Some people would say going into the ocean is suicidal because you can be eaten by a shark.
How many times have you played Russian roulette?
When I was younger, a couple. I can't remember exactly. It's been 2 decades.
Let me ask you about some legal things. Tell me the meaning of the word arrest. What does it mean to be arrested?
It means that you're being detained to be processed, to be identified for a crime.
When and where were you arrested?
I was arrested during a protest. I believe on May 31st, downtown Denver, near the Capitol building.
Okay. And what did the police say that you did?
Initially, they said I violated a curfew.
Okay. And subsequently,
They dropped those charges and then stacked the charges for second-degree assault on a peace officer, saying it was my fault that a cop twisted his ankle while he was shooting me with a flashbang grenade.
What is a charge in a legal context?
An accusation.
Okay. When you talked about a charge of second-degree assault on a peace officer, how many charges are you facing?
That. I have a different charge in a municipal case, but that doesn't have anything to do with this.
Okay. So you know you've been accused of a crime. Is the charge a felony or a misdemeanor?
It is a felony.
And what's the difference?
A felony you can go to prison for, a misdemeanor you cannot. A felony you can lose your rights, a misdemeanor you cannot.
What would be an example of a crime that is worse or more serious than one you've been charged with?
Terrorism,
And how about one that would be less serious?
jaywalking.
What is a plea?
A plea bargain, a plea deal. That's where,
No, hold on. I'm not talking about a plea bargain, but just a plea.
your response to the accusation, to the charge. You either plead guilty or not guilty, and then if you plead not guilty, you can have different forms of not guilty pleas.
And when you say there are different forms of not guilty pleas, what are the other pleas that are available?
There's not guilty by reason of insanity, and there's also, I believe, nolo contesto, which means that you don't believe you're guilty, you just understand that it can be considered a crime.
Okay. And if you plead guilty, what are you telling the court?
That you're admitting to the charge.
And if you plead not guilty, what are you saying?
That you're innocent.
Can a person plead not guilty in court, even if they actually committed the crime?
Yes, they can.
What's the purpose of criminal courts?
To maintain civility.
Say more about, what the purpose is.
It's basically to punish those who violate the laws of our society and hold those who violate the laws of our society accountable for their actions.
How many sides are there in criminal proceedings?
That's a really good question. There's supposed to be two. There's supposed to be offense and defense, or prosecution and defense, but actually I believe there's three, because the judge is supposed to be a neutral third party looking out for the rights of not just the government, but also the accused.
Okay. And so, a judge makes a decision whether a person is guilty or not guilty.
In a bench trial, a judge can. In a jury trial, the jury decides whether or not the person is guilty or not guilty.
How many people are usually on a jury?
12.
And where do they come from?
They're supposed to come from the community.
And what are judges or juries' decisions based on?
Evidence.
Tell me what evidence is.
Evidence is what is presented by the prosecution and or the defense.
How certain do judges and juries need to be in order to say that a person is guilty?
100%. In a criminal charge, at least 51% in a civil charge.
You've talked about bench and jury trials. So who decides whether a judge is going to decide a case or whether a jury is going to decide a case?
That would be the prosecutor. I've requested a bench trial every time I've gone to trial, and the prosecutor objects. So I was informed by more than one judge that it is actually up to the prosecution on whether or not they want a bench trial.
Okay. And you think that
Well, the judge makes the decision, but by law, from what I've been informed by the judge, if the prosecution wants a jury trial, the judge has to side with the prosecution. If the defendant wants a jury trial, the defendant automatically gets a jury trial. But if the defendant wants a bench trial, the prosecution has to agree with it. And then the judge has to accept the agreements of the prosecution.
Can anyone force you to testify in your own case?
No, not legally.
And why not? You're right, why not?
You have the right to remain silent, and you have the Fifth Amendment right not to self-incriminate.
Okay. I use the word testify. What does that mean?
To basically give your side of the story under oath.
You mentioned the right to remain silent. What are some other rights people have in the criminal justice system?
They have the right to confront any witness against them. They have the right to effective assistance of counsel. And if they choose, they have the right to a jury.
In your case, who's the defendant?
I am the defendant.
What is a witness?
A witness is someone that is not the defendant who is called to testify.
We both use the word right today. Tell me what a right is. What is a right?
It's supposed to be something that can never be taken away, something that's inalienable.
Tell me about it.
Well, a right is ultimately decided by the Supreme Court, and they decide whether or not legal interpretations are mandated in accordance with their rulings of their interpretations of the Constitution. Some would say that you have the right to say fuck the police and flip them off. Even though the Supreme Court has upheld that right, the prosecution can argue that, oh, it's not freedom of speech, it's assault or harassment. So then you can no longer have your rights if the prosecution gets away with manipulating the legal system and denying your rights, which is why we have appellate courts and the Supreme Court.
What does it mean to waive rights?
You give up your rights, which means technically you never had them in the first place, because rights can never be given up or waived, such as human rights can never be given up or waived. But if you sign a certain document in some jurisdictions, you are waiving and giving up your human rights.
What does conviction mean or to be convicted?
It means you are found guilty.
What is a sentence in a legal context?
That is your punishment.
Who's in charge of the courtroom?
It's supposed to be the Constitution, but normally the judge.
And you told me that judges decide whether people are guilty or not.
In a bench trial.
Yes, that's correct. And what else do judges do? What are some other parts of the judge's role?
They will make rulings upon objections. They will also make rulings on whether or not certain evidence or certain witnesses are allowed to be presented to the jury.
Okay. Do they listen to both sides?
Yes, they have to. And they also have to listen to the witnesses and review the evidence to see if it's valid and in accordance with protecting the rights of the defendant.
What does the district attorney or the prosecuting attorney try to do?
Convict.
In general, is it a good idea for a defendant to talk to the district attorney if their lawyer is not present?
In general, no.
Why not?
Everyone says not to, that anything you say to the prosecuting attorney can ultimately be used against you, and if they choose, they can manipulate it, if they're allowed to get away with it.
What's the job of a defense attorney?
To protect the defendant's rights and to present evidence in a manner in which the defendant is found not guilty.
Do they also try to answer the defendant's questions?
Yeah, that they're supposed to.
Okay. Who is your attorney?
My current attorney is Nicholas Weber, even though I've been trying to fire him.
I understand. And how often have you met with him?
Met with him?
Yes.
Never. Never have I met with him.
Even virtually?
Oh well, yeah, virtually, yeah. Yeah, the first phone call I've ever had with him, he said he wanted a competency evaluation. I kept telling him no. And in that same competency evaluation, or not competency evaluation, in that same phone call, he told me that the discovery of the evidence is worthless, there's nothing in there, and he still needs more discovery.
Okay. I don't want to put words into your mouth, but it sounds like it's fair to say that you don't like and trust him or don't think he's doing a good job. Is that correct?
That is completely correct.
Okay.
I've asked him to motion for dismissal of charges based on lack of evidence for the preliminary hearing, and he ignored me and requested a secondary competency evaluation, which we're going through.
Do you think that you have the ability to communicate with an attorney?
Yes.
Okay. And can your attorney talk to others about what the two of you discuss?
With my permission. Normally, he's not allowed to unless I make a statement in which harming myself or others. I believe by law he must tell other people if I make any statements or innuendos or accusations that I will commit harm against myself and or others. But besides that, he's not allowed to talk to anybody about my case or what I say without my permission.
And you've already indicated that you're not satisfied with the person or trying to get a new attorney. Have you seen the police reports in your case?
No, I have not.
Okay. Do you think the case against you is strong or weak?
From what I've heard, weak. So far, it's just a couple of statements, and there's a halo camera video is required, which we have not gotten, is what my attorney has informed me.
Are you motivated to assist and help out with your defense?
Yes, completely. Like I said, I brought up to him that, can we motion for dismissal of charges due to lack of evidence because we haven't gotten any yet? And he said that was a very good question, and he mentioned how that's a very good legal standpoint. Going with that is solid. And then he requested a second competency evaluation.
Do you have ideas on how you can defend yourself? How you can help out?
Yeah.
Could you give me some examples of how would you assist in your defense?
Reviewing the law, finding out the statutes, and, for lack of a better term, mitigating statutes that would require the case to be dismissed in preliminary hearing, and then discussing those with the court-appointed counsel.
What are some important decisions that defendants do make in criminal proceedings?
Whether or not they want to plead not guilty, whether or not they want to plead guilty. Ultimately, their association and working with their counsel, and they can also represent themselves.
Do they make decisions about whether or not to waive rights
Yes, ultimately that is their decision.
and whether or not to have a trial or a plea bargain?
Oh, yes, that is ultimately the defendant's decision.
Okay. And so, who's, in your case, who's ultimately responsible for those decisions?
Me.
Yeah, of course. Tell me what a plea bargain is.
That's where, the DA and the court-appointed attorney, or the DA and the defendant, if the defendant is representing themselves, we'll get together and discuss, for lack of a better term, the sentencing of a guilty plea. So the DA will get with the public defender or the court-appointed counsel or the lawyer, whoever, and say, hey, we'll drop these charges for a guilty plea of this charge.
Okay. And what happens in the criminal process if the defendant does not agree to a plea bargain? What happens then?
They go to trial, to the best of my knowledge, or they sit back down and they redo the plea discussion.
Okay. If they go to trial, the prosecutor has to prove them guilty, is that correct?
Yes, beyond a reasonable doubt. Not just prove them guilty, you must prove the elements of the crime that is accused.
Okay. And is there a possibility of a worse sentence then?
Possible, yes.
Okay. If you agree to a plea bargain, if the defendant agrees to a plea bargain, what rights do they have?
I believe they give, in the state, they give up their right to an appeal. In the feds, you can still plead guilty, but still have the right to appeal.
Okay, and in the state case, then, what other rights do you give up if you accept the plea bargain?
I'm not sure. I think it's you give up your right to an appeal, and whatever rights that are you giving up in the plea bargain.
You give up the right to a trial.
Yeah, you give up your right to a jury trial. You give up your right to confront witnesses.
And the right to remain silent.
Depending, I mean, sometimes in a plea bargain you have to basically confess before the judge.
Okay. How would you decide whether the plea bargain would be good for you? What factors would be important?
Whether or not I did it. If I feel I'm guilty, I'll plead guilty.
Okay. Anything else that would determine whether or not you would accept or reject the plea bargain?
In this case, I will not accept a plea bargain.
Okay. But in general, would the severity of the crime to which you're being asked to plead guilty, would that matter to you?
Yes, completely. Not just the severity of the crime, the sentence. Whether or not it was an open sentence or if it was a predetermined sentence, whether or not that the sentence can be aggravated, modified, or resentenced.
Okay, very good. So, you know, if you were in the plea bargain, if you were being asked to plead guilty to a misdemeanor as opposed to a felony, that might make a difference.
To someone else, maybe. But to me, I will not plead guilty to this.
Okay. If you were convicted, what is the worst sentence that you could get?
I'm not sure. I believe this is a special offender, which means I will get the maximum sentence plus half.
And do you know what that is?
Not sure. I think it could be 9 years. 6 to 9 years, somewhere in there. I'm not sure exactly what the sentencing range is. Haven't even discussed that with the lawyer. The only conversation I ever had with him over the phone was he called me up to inform me that he wanted to do a competency evaluation and that there's no evidence in the discovery for a preliminary hearing.
Okay. What do you think would be, if you were convicted, what do you think the best sentence would be that you would get?
If I was convicted, the best sentence? I don't know if this sentence carries the possibility of probation, but if it does, that would be the best sentence.
All right. What sentence do you think would be most probable?
Not guilty? I mean, I'm not guilty, so I don't understand. The best sentence would be free to go.
Okay, and that would be certainly the best outcome from your perspective. But if you were convicted, you've told me what you think the worst sentence would be. You've told me what you think the best sentence would be. What do you think is the most probable sentence?
No clue. That's up to the judge. I mean, the judge can look at it and say, these mitigating factors lower the sentencing.
Okay. You told me that, and I know that, of course, a previous competency examination was performed in this case, and, as you know, the opinion of that evaluator, Dr. Walker, was that you were competent. And you said then that your attorney asked for a second competency exam. Why did he ask for that, do you think?
No clue, honestly. I asked the judge about that, and she said that by law, he's allowed to.
Okay. In an email to me, Mr. Weber expressed some of the concerns that he had. For example, that you talked about getting in general the U.S. military to investigate a case, or asking Interpol to investigate the case. Can you tell me about those?
When I was injured from this crime, I wrote a report to Interpol and every law enforcement agency and every embassy in the world. I guess he must have found out about it. I really don't know where all that came from. So yeah.
But when you were injured, that's completely separate, am I correct, from the case that we've been talking about today, that's where you were accused of second-degree assault on a police officer?
Yes, in the legal charge, yes.
Okay. All right. You also talked about being able to predict the Columbine shooting, the Laura Theater shooting.
No, it wasn't the ability to predict. I reported it to the federal government, and I stated that to the judge. And that's why I had to take my federal competency evaluation.
And when you said you stated it to, the federal authorities, that was before those events happened, or?
Yes, that is correct. 4 months before.
Okay. And what led you to believe that those events were going to happen?
I stole an iPad. I told that to the Magistrate Rice, I believe her name was, in the federal courtroom, in the federal courthouse of the federal building in Grand Junction Avenue. And I put the iPad back because I didn't want to get caught with it. And then when I got arrested by the feds, I reported it, which is the competent thing to do.
And the feds arrested you for what?
They arrested me for Title 18, 875C, Interstate Threatening Communications. And they arrested me at the Grand Junction Regional Airport in Grand Junction, Colorado.
What was the outcome, and when was that?
March 2012.
And what was the outcome of that case?
I was found guilty. I was sentenced. And then after I completed my sentence, my conviction was vacated in an appellate court. And then the government appealed that to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court upheld the vacation.
Okay. And so you went to prison in that case, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Yeah, basically, as I understand it, I've not spoken to Mr. Weber directly. That he has some concerns that you might be delusional. Is the bottom line.
Well, it's not a delusion that in court on the record, I reported that James Holmes was planning on committing a massacre at the Century 16 movie theater in Aurora, Colorado, 2012, July 20th, Friday, at the midnight premiere of Batman Dark Knight Rises. Not a prediction.
Okay, correct me.
I just did. It wasn't a prediction. I wasn't predicting that someone was going to do this. I stated that I stole an iPad and I found out that someone was plotting this. I've never encountered James Holmes, and when I had the iPad, I put it back.
Do you know whose iPad it was, or why that information was on the iPad?
Nope.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so how could that be delusional if it did occur? And on the record, because you're a state person, are you going to contact the feds? Can I tell you to contact Miss Laura Ansart, who is my federal PO? Because she can verify this.
Okay. I'm not going to do that, but that might be something that you want to talk to your attorney about, whether that's Mr. Glover or a new attorney.
Well, I've already stated this in front of the judge, you know,
Yes.
twice.
Okay. Okay. And, but you know whose iPad it was that you took?
No, I put it back.
Okay. And from where did you take it?
I think a backpack or something that was just there. You know, it was several years ago, and, you know, I had to go through all these mental health BS because of that, and then it happened. So it really aggravates me and infuriates me that people could think that I'm delusional, that I reported something, because check this out, yo. In the courtroom, they said that I was incompetent, that if I had this information, I should hold it for a plea bargain, and I said no, that would mean I'm complicit. I'm competent to understand know that if I know someone is going to commit a crime, or at least I suspect someone of going to commit a crime, by law I have to report it. If I do not, that means I can be found guilty of complicity. I stated this to the federal court, Magistrate Rice, in Grand Junction in March. There are some federal agents. I believe one is Gerard Kavanaugh and FBI agent John Patanisi. They were both working in Grand Junction. They were the ones who arrested me.
Okay.
So you can contact Homeland Security agent Gerard Kavanaugh of Grand Junction Homeland Security. Michelle Heldmeyer, I believe, was the prosecuting attorney at the time in the federal courtroom. And so you can contact the federal prosecutor in Grand Junction, Michelle Heldmeyer. She may be in Denver now, and go from there. And state, hey, did Kenneth actually report that James Holmes was plotting on committing a crime? Yes or no? I did not predict, I reported that I found out information.
I got it. I understand the distinction that you're making completely. All right, sir. I think that's all we need to do.
Can I ask if that would be considered delusional, considering the fact that it did happen?
I would not consider that to be a delusion. I mean, how that information happened to be on that iPad, whose iPad it was, how that information happened to be on the iPad, I don't know.
Neither do I.
So, no would be the answer to your question.
Okay.
Okay. Very good. Yes.
Those three things I'm supposed to remember.
Yes.
Shoe, pencil, what was the other one?
Flower.
Flower.
Yes. Yeah, and I can understand that there, when I said them, when you first repeated them back, you said shoe, pencil, and salt. And I said no, it was shoe, flower, and pencil. I can understand your confusion, at that point. But you got two. You
Alrighty. So, if I'm hearing this correctly, Nicholas Weber accuses me of being delusional.
Whether you'd say it's an accusation, he wonders about that. I wouldn't say it's an accusation, but, you know, he says, like most attorneys, I don't have the experience. It's not within my to decide or determine that. But given some of the things that you apparently said to him, he wondered about that. And so wanted a second opinion.
Well, I really didn't say them to him. I said them to the judge.
Yes, I'm sorry. That's what he said, yes, in your recent court appearance.
Yeah, twice, you know. Each time I have to take these competency evaluations, I stated to the judge that the first time when I spoke to Nicholas Weber on the phone, he just whipped out the competency evaluation. I told him, no, I do not agree with it. And I also told him he's fired, that he cannot request the competency evaluation, that he's to remove himself from court-appointed counsel, and I'll get a new court-appointed counsel. Instead, he requested a competency evaluation, and that's when I brought up, hey, you know, how is this possible? You know, last time I had to do a competency evaluation was due to the fact I reported James Holmes to a federal magistrate. So that could easily be proven by getting the record of, oh man, God, I can't remember my case. I think it's 12 CR 038.
Yeah, I would think it could. So, yeah. Okay, very good. Thank you for your time.
Can I know if I'm competent, if you're, what your decision is?
My opinion will be that you are competent. As I say, I don't make the decision. But my opinion will be that you're competent.
Alrighty, so hopefully I can move along and get my preliminary hearing.
The case will move forward however that happens. Those are all legal kind of things that are not in my area of expertise. So what the next step will be, though I imagine the next step will be that the judge will decide whether or not make the decision whether you're competent or not. Then we'll go from there.
Thank you, Dr. Bradley. You have a beautiful day.
Thank you, sir. You too. Take care.
Bye-bye. Oh my fuck, dude. Seriously? Yeah, so check this out. I repeatedly reported James Holmes' plot to commit a massacre. They repeatedly called me incompetent. Let's see, I stated it to the Grand Junction City Police, the Mesa County Sheriff's Department, Homeland Security in Grand Junction, FBI in Grand Junction, U.S. Marshals in Grand Junction. I did it again in the federal courtroom to Judge Magistrate Rice. Again, I reported it to federal authorities when I was transported to Federal Detention Center Inglewood, and then from Federal Detention Center Inglewood, I was transported to Metropolitan Detention Center Los Angeles to take the competency evaluation, where I repeated it again to them, and I believe it was Santa Barbara Sheriff's Department that transported me from the airport to the Metropolitan Detention Center, or actually no, to a county jail, or no, I think it was to Metropolitan Detention Center. There, I kept repeating it to the sheriff's deputies and the federal authorities. They laughed and thought it was awesome, stating that it would be job security. And then from Metropolitan Detention Center Los Angeles, I was put on another plane, Con Air. That's the plane they transport you on, the feds transport you on. And I was transported on Con Air by the feds from California to Federal Transfer Center, Oklahoma City, where I continuously repeated that James Holmes was plotting on committing a massacre. at the Century 16 movie theater, 2020 July, or 2012 July 20th, Friday, midnight morning of the Batman Dark Knight Rises world premiere. They continued to laugh at me and say that that's job security. I believe Warden Renee Garcia, I had numerous conversations with prior to that massacre happening. And then after the massacre happened, Warden Renee Garcia did not like talking with me because I told him that I held him responsible. So yeah, there's that. And we got to put these, I think they all went 15-minute intervals. So yeah. Got to get this micro SD card out of there and flop it together. All right. So yeah, here we are. And I got to go to the bathroom. Peace, y'all.